Welcome to Catholic Messenger Conversations. I'm Barb Arland-Fye, and with me today is Bishop Thomas Zinkula. Thank you so much for being here. I know you're really busy right now.
Oh, it's my pleasure. It's nice to take a break.
Yeah, all right. I guess I wanted to talk with you about coronavirus, if that doesn't surprise you. Probably not, right?
That's what I would expect, Barb.
Okay. So what concerns do you have for people in our diocese as they deal with the coronavirus pandemic?
Well, a number of concerns. Obviously, older people with underlying health issues who are most vulnerable at this time. Not so much we're all vulnerable in terms of getting the virus, but in terms of dealing with it very well. People losing their jobs, and businesses struggling to stay open. Fear, anxiety, confusion that people are experiencing, mental health issues that people are having. Our health care system becoming overburdened, and that leading to huge problems, and the effect on the poor and the most vulnerable, those on the periphery, those folks I think we all need to keep in mind.
Right. What concerns do you have for the priests of our diocese?
Yeah, well, we have a lot of elderly priests.
Yeah.
And so, again, they're in that group that I was talking about. But the priests that are kind of in the trenches in active ministry, how to protect them and give them advice on how to minister to people who have the COVID-19. And I'm concerned about loss of income in the parishes because there aren't masses, and a lot of people give at Mass when they put their envelope in the basket. So those are some of my concerns.
Have you heard from your priest at all? I mean, in terms of, I wonder just how it's affecting them. Maybe not that you can really share that, but it's taken an emotional toll on, people in the pews not being able to receive the Eucharist. And I know we can do spiritual communion, but, and that's a beautiful thing, and our faith is there. But I guess I'm wondering how are the priests dealing with that aspect of not being able to celebrate Mass in community?
Right. Well, it's a very unusual thing for everybody and new, and it's early on. But I asked the deans to contact all the priests in their deanery, and I'm going to have a meeting hopefully on Friday, a conference call with them, and see how the priests are doing and their parishes are doing, to kind of gauge that. And at the chancery, we're asking people like directors who are in contact with folks out there in the parishes, kind of how things are going.
I just get the sense we're in this vacuum. I mean, I know with the technology we have today, we can do so much digitally online, but it just feels like to me that there's this vacuum or this sense of still some isolation, I guess.
Yeah, it's a whole new thing. People are trying to figure it out, and there are a lot of creative things going on out there. It's amazing. Right. So there's all these limitations in terms of personal presence and the distancing and all that, and sheltering in place and all that. But people we have ways of communicating now that we haven't had in the past, technology, and so that's all really helpful at this time.
It's interesting. It seems like it's kind of forced us into being more creative and embracing technology in a way we maybe hadn't in the past.
Yeah, I think so. And also just using old technology like telephones.
Right. That's awesome.
That's, you can actually hear each other's voices, and people are doing a lot more of that than, they have in the past, probably because it's not like email, it's impersonal as email and texting and things.
We started doing that in our parish, calling people, and they're surprised, and yet they really enjoy that somebody cares enough to call them. So I think that's really...
It's more personal.
Yeah, it is. So I guess I'm wondering, too, about the diocese retired priests living at the chancery. How are they coping? I mean, because you have to be so careful with them, especially, and I think that they are even more segregated than the rest of us, probably. Yeah,
they're hunkered down. We moved. There's two sides. It was an orphanage, the chancery originally, and there was the boys' residences on one side and the girls on the other, and so we put them all on one side, and kind of quarantined them, and so there's a live-in cook who's moved in, and he's single and middle-aged or a little bit older, and so he's okay with that, and our maintenance guy is settled in, so they're not in contact with folks and getting the virus. So they're in good humor. They're kind of rolling with the punches. I looked in from a distance when they were at lunch the other day, and how you doing? Oh, come on over, and come on and sit down. It's like, no, you guys, I can't, So I sense a lot of fear or
So
worry.
like, how close can you get? Do you like peek in from the hallway or what?
Yeah, and I was on the far end.
Yeah.
Peeked in and just was talking to them and washed my hands before I went in there and held my breath so they wouldn't spew anything out. No.
They're wondering why you're talking so funny, right?
It's like, right. Duck out and then come back in.
Oh, and do they still are they able to celebrate Mass together in the chapel?
Yeah, there's no public masses.
Right.
So, but it's okay. I felt it was okay for them. It's not a public mass. They're like a family.
Right.
They eat together and they're living, in the same area. So they celebrate Mass together.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. And then I was wondering, what about you? How do you cope with this fast-moving developments of the pandemic?
Well, for whatever reason, nature or nurture or whatever, I sort of tend to stay pretty calm in crisis situations. It's
nice.
And so, it's part of life. Things happen. I'm been around a while, been around the block a few times, and so I'm just trying to figure out how best to respond. And I people I can look to for advice on that and consult with. And
yeah, who do you seek advice from in making decisions? Is it your
yeah? So
directors?
right, it's like with this particular thing. So we had a policy in place for how to deal with the pandemic. It was there, I think, in 2006 they wrote it, and then they revised it a few years later, and so that's there. When I saw it, I'm like, okay, well, that's maybe some kind of a lot of work for something that probably won't happen, but here it is.
Yeah.
So they've been following it, and kind of you can't follow it exactly because it depends on the situation, circumstances, how you interpret it and apply it, and kind of revise a little bit here and there along the way. But anyway, so Deacon Frank Agnola, he is our director of worship. He's also an MD, he practiced medicine, and he wrote the policy basically, he and Deacon David, and as I understand it, and so he's the perfect person because a lot of these things have to do with liturgy, and so but health, and he's a doctor, and so he's kind of the at the
go-to guy,
yeah, sort of at the center of it. And then Deacon David Montgomery, who's our chief of staff and chancellor, like those two are kind of all over this thing. And then Father Tony Harold, the vicar general, and me, that we're kind of the ones who powwow like every single day.
So how does that look in the chancery? Can you describe what happened then? What have you done with your chancery staff? Are they there or not?
They're basically working at home from home as much as possible. So they want to drop in here or there, and we're real careful about that. When they come in, we know that they're coming in, then they're doing okay. They don't have any symptoms or anything, and then cleaning up afterwards, where in their offices and things. So mostly people are working from home. We haven't shut down totally. If there's a shelter-in-place order from the governor, or the president, then we'll obviously then shut things down totally, or we might even on our own at some point. But right now we haven't decided not to do that.
Yeah, because it sounds like the governor hasn't. She's not looking to do a shelter-in-place.
So far, she's kind of right. She's right. I don't know what it would take for her to issue that order. But and then I pray about it. I pray that I make good decisions, and I seek the protection of the Lord and His assistance, and so that's kind of. So
the guidance of the Holy Spirit.
Right.
In the public square, impatience has developed. People want to get back to normal, and they say it is worth risk. It's worth the risk of older people dying from the coronavirus. There's actually been talk about that. I guess I'm wondering, this seems kind of like a pro-life issue to me.
Yeah, I would say it certainly is. It's, so here we have people who are the most vulnerable and the weakest the poorest. Those are the people that we should be most concerned about,
Right.
And that's what our Catholic faith calls us to anyway. And so I think I think to just sort of, okay, one way of looking at it is, let's just let it peak,
Right.
and people will die, and then it'll come down real quick, and we can get on with our lives, and versus this kind of peaking early, and then it's extended further and
Right.
longer. So I just don't think that's moral or responsible. For one thing, besides besides the ethics of it, there's overwhelming our healthcare system, so that's a
Right.
big deal. And so I as Catholics, that's just not an acceptable approach.
I just wondered about that. How does it feel to celebrate Mass on Sunday without a community present? I guess you've what about for you on Sunday?
Yeah, so I actually have a community now. Actually, sometimes I don't have anyone to celebrate with, so I'm not in a parish. So I have my little chapel at my house, and so now there's 3 seminarians living over on the other end of the chancery, not where the priests are, retired priests, but the other side. And so they got kicked out of their seminary, not because they messed up, but because of this virus. So they're like colleges everywhere. They're some of them. There's 3 of our seminarians are at home, from 2 from Mundelein and 1 from Conception Seminary in Missouri. So they decided to go home, and then there's 3 from St. Paul Seminary in the Twin Cities. They could go home, could have gone home if they wanted to, but they decided to stay there. And Mundelein, they all had to leave.
Well, that's interesting. Why did some have to go home and some didn't? I wonder. It just depended on the seminary.
Right? Yeah, they make their own decisions.
How are they handling it? How are the seminarians?
Right. So the 3 from Mundelein, 2 of them went home, and 3 of them decided they could study better not going home.
Yeah.
And so they're living over there. They're doing fine. They have a little community. You should do a story on them. It's kind of interesting, actually. I can talk to you about that after the podcast.
Sounds good.
They are kind of getting adjusted. They're fixing their own meals, and they, we're Father Sia, the vocation director, and I are celebrating Mass with them every morning. We take turns.
That's cool.
I mean, because they have an enclosed community as well, and so today they decided to live stream it, or to send it out. I think they use Zoom or something to their seminary brothers that are from the diocese that are
that's
at
cool.
home. Yeah, so it's pretty neat. So I actually have somebody to celebrate Mass with.
Oh, that's awesome.
Small little group.
So are you putting the pictures of all of the other seminarians on the chair?
No,
backs?
we can see them on the
that's right.
laptop.
You can see them on their laptops
there
now.
They are. We can talk to them.
And there's no glitches or that kind of.
They had a few problems, kind of getting it set up.
Yeah.
One of them he couldn't hear, so they called him on the phone.
Okay.
And put it on.
Okay, on audio then, or.
Or where you can everybody you can hear.
So what about the Easter Tertium? Has decision been made yet on that? How you'll celebrate the Tertium, the Feast of Feasts, the highest holy days?
Yeah, so there's been some guidance from Rome on what that looks like in parishes, and so we've shared that with today. Actually, something went out on that to the pastors, and it'll be very simple. I mean, probably this thing will all be over with by then, and they'll be just doing a lot of them are doing live. They'll the
live stream
a Mass with a couple people, and those who are able to live stream it or record it and put it online. So
have you watched any of those masses online? I mean, there are so many parishes all over the country doing that. Have you taken a look at any of them?
I actually haven't. I just haven't had the time or taken the time to do that.
I've looked at a couple, not a lot, and pretty good. I mean, one of the priests at the Newman Center, Father Jeff Belger, on the Feast of St. Joseph, I happened to be up late, and I watched his Mass, and it was his first attempt to do Mass, and live streaming it, I guess. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's interesting. from the ones I've talked to, it sounds like they're getting more people, that are clicking on those and watching those masses than are going to mass. Like one of our priests in a larger parish said he had a weekday mass. There were like 800 people that clicked on, and I don't know if they watched the whole thing or whatever. But
why do you suppose that is?
I don't know.
Is it because people are pent up in their homes,
Could
or
be
is it
part
because
of it, or just it's kind of maybe it's curiosity. Maybe it'll be less as time goes on. But no, I've heard that from a number of people that they're amazed at how many people are watching their masses.
Well, and parishes are offering like rosary hours or scripture, or Bible studies or all kinds of things.
Yeah, that's
online.
Right.
It's hard to. I mean, there's so much. It's hard to figure out which would be.
Yeah.
I guess you just have to pick and choose on that.
Yeah, there's a lot of creativity. It's really great to see.
And with public liturgies canceled, what are you doing with all that extra time?
Extra time. I've been sort of waiting for that. I mean, everybody talks about all this time and everything, but I don't know. So far, we're just monitoring the situation and this kind of this team that I was talking about every day, talking about things and putting things out to priests. And I don't know. And there's a lot of online meetings.
Yeah.
And then there's been a lot of things going on. So I actually did have over the weekend. It was a little quieter. So Saturday afternoon, I went for this monster walk, couple hours, probably 7 or 8 miles, and so that was really good, just to get out and get some fresh air. And I've actually been on a couple of other walks since this thing all began, and I like to walk, but I haven't had as much time to do that. But so now there's
more time to do that.
A little bit for things like that. Yeah.
Wow. And then what's the greatest challenge of not being able to plan ahead because of the coronavirus? I mean, it seems like our lives are so planned in ahead. You're making, especially in this diocese, I mean, your calendar is planned out months in advance. Has that been kind of strange?
It's been very strange. I mean, everything's sort of on hold. I mean, not everything. There's all these things we're talking about that people are doing, but like last week, I just crossed off about a dozen things, maybe 4 or 5 maybe confirmations during the week and on the weekend. And it's just like, there they go. And all kinds of things like that, any of those kinds of meetings. And so other things took their place, these things that we've been talking about. But it's so people are doing things, and then the Chrism Mass, maybe we'll do that. Maybe we won't, or we'll do it. Maybe we'll postpone it, depending on how things go.
Can you explain for people about the Chrism Mass, why that's such an important Mass?
Well, I mean, it's where we bless the holy oils that we're going to use all year long, and all the priests are gathered, and deacons, and faithful, who are most sort of connected with things, and so we're all there together. And it's there's for me, there's kind of a connection with me, because I bless these oils and they go out into the parishes, and the priests who represent me in the parishes and deacons use those holy oils. So it's just that connection. And so so what we're thinking about is, right now the dean's coming in and celebrating the Mass together, because it can't be that many people, and do the distancing and all that, and then take the oils out.
So there's like 6 deans, and they'll take them out to the priest in those deaneries.
And then they'll receive them, on Holy Thursday. So again, it's part of how we do things. And even though it might not be many people there, but now if there's a shelter in place order, then we won't do that. And probably we just postpone, because to postpone it till later, because it'd be weird to bless all these oils and then just sit there, and so we'll put it until when this is over.
Well, what would prompt our diocese to do? I mean, would our diocese do its own shelter in place even without, like, say, the governor or the president?
We could. I mean, we've done things before they've done things already.
And what would be
with the that whole thing with the group size and masses, and we kind of been a little bit ahead of the the government, the state and national government. So we've thought about it. There are those who say, I mean, I get it from both sides.
Right.
You're going too fast, shutting things down and everything,
Right.
and then you're not going fast enough, so but yeah, we've talked about it. We could do it before if things keep getting worse here in Iowa.
I mean, it is increasing in Iowa, not nearly as much as, like, say, in some of the bigger, like metropolitan areas, but you want to stay ahead of the curve.
Right. My way of looking at it is, if you're going to do it, we should all do it together.
Right.
I mean, how much of a difference it's going to make if just the diocese does it? We're not.
I agree.
So it's going to be more impactful if it's everybody doing it. But when it gets to the point where we should be doing this and they just haven't pulled that trigger at the state level, well, let's just do it because it's the right thing to do. So we've done that along the way. We've taken these steps. We have this 4-step policy.
Mm-hmm.
We're in step 3 right now, so that'd be step 4. So step 2 and step 3, we kind of were ahead of the government on that.
Yeah. So step 4 is just complete shelter in place, or what is nobody at the chancery, right?
Nobody at the chancery, nobody in the churches. Right now, people can come in and pray.
Oh, so they wouldn't even be able to do that.
And yeah, nothing like that.
Wow.
And these masses, it'd just be the priest.
Wow.
Nobody else, or maybe if there's an associate pastor, the 2 of them. But so it'd be that kind of a thing.
I mean, nothing like that has ever happened in your lifetime, has it? Nothing in my lifetime.
Nothing like where we're at now has ever happened in my lifetime, much less that shelter in place kind of a deal.
Wow. I was just wondering, what does your email inbox look like? Are you just like flooded with questions from people, or not really?
Yeah, no, it's kind of there's less of some things because there's not as many things going on out there, so those things went away. But there's more of these kinds of things, questions about things, and people giving me their advice on things, or criticizing something, or just things related to this virus. So it's sort of about the same, but a different nature of email.
So what's the most inspiring message you have received in your email in this time of coronavirus?
Yeah, there is this. Somebody sent me speaking of email, and one of the deacons sent me something that this is from words of encouragement that were tweeted by a rabbi to the members of his synagogue, kind of early on in this whole thing. And so his main point is to think of social distancing in a different way. So here's a quote from him, part of what he tweeted. Every hand that we don't shake must become a phone call that we place. Every embrace that we avoid must become a verbal expression of warmth and concern. Every inch and every foot that we physically place between ourselves and another must become a thought as to how we might be of help to that other should the need arise. Let's stay safe and let's draw one another closer in a way that we've never done before. So I kind of like that.
That's very cool. Very cool. That's good advice for all of us, isn't it? So what blessings do you see emerging from the pandemic?
Well, these kinds of things, there's always something we can learn from them.
Right.
And so one thing I've been talking a lot about is with regard to kind of our culture, how we're so busy and so going after it and running around and hardly have time to sit down for a meal at home, and all these things we think we need to be doing, and we know it's not good for us,
Right.
So but it's hard if we're addicted to it, and so it's hard to stop. We don't know how to stop, and it's a cultural thing. How do you change the culture, right? Well, here's something. It's unfortunate that has to be a pandemic
to change the culture,
but it's got our attention. It's I mean, we have to slow down. We have no choice, and people are experiencing that. And I think, I mean, I don't know what it's like to be at home with kids that are not in school. That might not be so great in certain respects. But
I'm so glad mine are grown up.
But we have time to be more quiet and slow down and maybe think more deeply, and all these things that okay, I've got all this money in the stock market, and I'm all secure and everything, and it's tanked,
Yeah.
or I have this job, and it's a good job, and there's security there, and oh my gosh, maybe it's it's going to go away. I'm going to lose it, or school, you can depend on that at least.
Right.
So, okay, well, how do you look at life, and in relationships, when we're around each other more, and man, this is good.
Right.
I wish I should take more time for that, even when this thing is over. So who knows how this might affect our culture.
Right. Well, I'm wondering too, what do you think about the whole toilet paper situation with people? I mean, that's been on people's minds too. They're thinking a lot about that.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that's the panic kind of phase of things. I don't know. I was at the store, and all the toilet paper's gone and bread and all that stuff, but I couldn't figure out why. I buy a big thing of dishwasher detergent like once a year,
And that's gone.
and that was like there wasn't any. Gosh, what does that have to do with the pandemic? Or maybe they're using this in a way that's, I don't know.
There'll be really clean people here
Yeah,
on this
really.
planet. So, what else? Am I missing anything else in this this otherwise very serious business about the coronavirus pandemic?
And I don't know. I mean, it's just sort of an interesting time. It's shaking us up, and we're vulnerable. And I think God can get our attention at times like this. That when things are going well, who needs God? I'm doing fine. I am God. Kind of I'm controlling my life, and but it's times like this when I think God can get our attention, because we do need Him, and we're confused, and we're so I think, so as a church, it's a time for us to kind of lead people to Christ, and to help them to think more deeply and look more deeply. And so I think we really need to be there for people right now. It's an opportunity to evangelize and do some really good ministry.
That's very inspiring. Thank you for joining us today on Catholic Messenger Conversations, Bishop.
You are welcome, Barb.
Come back soon.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.